Hatman, are we entertained?
I don't think so.
No. My name's Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I'm certainly not entertained.
Let's get this shit rolling. Welcome to Micah and The Hatman. Special edition, the review of Captain Marvel. Alright, so here's hoping that my internet stays stable throughout, because Comcast somehow had an outage on a day when it is 43 degrees outside and there's no inclement weather.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
Yeah. So, let's get down to it. Opening night.
Opening night.
The parking lot...
Let me ask you this. I guess you're going into it. How crowded was your theater?
Not very.
Mine was filled.
Really?
Mine was filled. I went to the 7 o'clock show. When I bought my tickets, and I had to pre-order them, and you got to select your seats when you pre-order it. This one, there were only 2 seats left, and this was on Monday. And I had heard at the box office as I was going in that all of the shows up till 9 o'clock were sold out, and they had multiple early shows, and I'd never seen that at my theater before. Keep in mind, this is not a chain theater that I go to. This is kind of a small thing. Like there's 2 in the chain, if you will, but it's not like a AMC or a Regal or anything. But they had like 7 o'clock, 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, 8, so on and so forth. Basically, yeah, Captain Marvel was taking up most of the screens in that theater, which I thought was very unusual. And all the shows up till about 9 o'clock were sold out. North Carolina is not exactly SJW Central. I mean, where I'm at is certainly not SJW Central. Like, no, this is not like the Respect Whammon capital by any sense of the imagination.
Yeah, here in Central Illinois, it certainly isn't either. A very blue collar, blue collar, white collar mix where I live.
Yeah,
mostly conservative though, and my theater was packed for Black Panther, packed for Venom, packed for Infinity War, packed for Civil War. This one, and it wasn't that packed for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I didn't expect it to be. But this was about actually a smaller crowd than Ant-Man and the Wasp. They were only showing the film on like 3 theaters, or 3 screens. They were showing it on the IMAX, which is the one I went to, and then 1 3D screen and then 1 normal screen. And thankfully, the company I work for gets big discounts. Granted, if you work for an insurance company in my city, you get discounts wherever you go anyway. But I got in for $10 on an IMAX screen. So that was good at least. So I didn't spend a ton of money.
I got in for $10 on a regular screen, but at least the chairs were recliners. So.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, we both go to good theaters at least.
Yes.
But let's get to the skinny. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys our rating right out of the gate. I say, if you have to watch this movie, do not see it in theaters, rent it. It is not worth $10 for a viewing.
I will go one further, and I will say, read the spoilers online, read the plot online, and then go to Infinity War, or Endgame. It really adds nothing to the MCU that is worthwhile. It is it's basically like Ghostbusters 2016 all over again. It is a solid meh. But honestly, I can't justify paying to go see it. I can't.
I didn't think it was that bad. Though it was not good either. That's generally my issue with it.
No.
This film is mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
It is strictly middle of the road. It could have been good. Hatman and I were like talking about it this last night, actually. Is one thing I said was this was like watching a woman who is incredibly intelligent not going into STEM and going to write for the Mary Sue instead. It's that kind of disappointment.
Yeah.
Because here's the weird thing about it. The script, or the plot itself, is not a bad plot. You know,
not entirely.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with the plot.
But I will say this,
just the general outline of the plot is not bad. You know, the script overall above average, but just barely. Man, there are elements of it that drag it down. Let me finish. I got a little bit more.
Okay, go ahead. Let me write down.
Because we'll get to this. There's political shit in this that we will get to.
Yeah.
That's the part that's dragging it down. But I want to get through the base outline. But the basic idea of, you know, person gets superpowers, part of the Kree Empire, sets up the Skrulls, and then there's a plot twist, and the twist I thought was actually pretty good. And then, like, just the base, like, outline of the story. If you were to outline it to somebody, like, how it goes, they'd be like, yeah, that's the decent building blocks of what could be a good movie. Because it's not really that different than any other MCU film. In a lot of senses. Like, it follows a very similar outline. The only difference is that the villain of the film is not a dark reflection of the hero.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't actually go down that trope, which was interesting. The performances in the film, everyone around Brie Larson put in a good effort for what they had going for them. Because again, given the parts of the script that were a little bit more political in their choice of how they presented this film, you know, they did what they could with it. You know, I don't have any gripes about how much effort was put into the film by everyone but Brie Larson. She is the biggest problem with that, though. You know how people were saying in the early reviews? In fact, I think it was the woman from Time magazine said she was miscast.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
I agree.
She is not ready for this kind of a film.
No.
She could have been, maybe a few years down the line, but not here. She was wooden for parts of this.
And it's funny because there is a semi-explanation for her lack of emotion.
But at the same time...
But it's not sufficient. It's literally a tell, don't show situation.
Well, it's also inconsistent when you think about it. Because...
Yeah.
The whole... She's you know, trained to not be emotional. Because emotions, you know, make you a bad soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense, of course, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's consistently joking around at some parts and then just stops. Like there are literally parts of this film where you feel like there's supposed to be a joke because there's humor in other parts of the movie. You feel like there's supposed to be a joke there and she just forgot her line.
Almost, yeah. Like it just sort of stops.
Yeah.
And then you're told that, you know, emotions get the better of her. But you don't ever see that.
Yeah.
You don't see it at all. In fact, she doesn't really have any sort of weaknesses. She doesn't have any sort of growth. There is no real character arc to this. It's basically she discovers who she was, and then she becomes a amalgamation of the person she was and the person that she became after Star Force.
Yeah.
And then that's it. There is no growth. There's no dynamic character in Carol Danvers. She's flat.
Yes. And that's generally a big issue with it. There's almost a reluctance to characterize her properly. and give her an arc, because it would make her look weak. And as such, the audience isn't able to really have that much, you know, connection to her. You know, one thing I found really weird is in this film, actually, no, wait, we'll come again, because that's going to get into the political stuff, because there's something about feminism we have to say and how it affected this film. The other thing that really pissed me off about this movie was the music choice. When some of the critics have said that the girl power is pandering in this film, they are not wrong.
No.
Because let me tell you this way. Rotten Tomatoes tells you that 93% of critics like this film. If you actually read the reviews, it's probably closer to 65%.
Yeah.
Because one common thing you will see from critics is that the girl power theme is so thick that it's sickening. And it is here.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where they gender swapped an iconic comic book character and then made that character almost completely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. There is no reason why Marvel should have been gender swapped.
No, there isn't. We'll get to that in a second too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to think with the movies is the music selection literally ruins parts of the film. There is an action scene that was a pretty well choreographed fight scene between Carol and the bad guys. I'm not spoiling it,
mm-hmm.
but Carol and the bad guys, where instead of having like this epic sort of orchestral stuff that the MCU is known for, just a girl by no doubt. Oh, well, thanks, guys. Well, you reminded me that there was a point in time where Gwen Stefani was hot.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, it has no place here. Because it's not like the Kree or anybody else really, aside from like one little anecdote, really held her down because she's a woman. Which is another inconsistent part of this film. It really feels like they squeezed that in there at some point.
Yeah.
Because
again,
there are women in her squad.
Yeah, there's a lot of telling but not showing here.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and get into the political stuff. So, there are some things that I don't find political, and there are some things that I do find political. One thing that I don't find political was the power limiter to keep her in line with other Kree.
Yeah,
Marvel was that way too. Marvel was also obscenely powerful for a Kree, but he had a different reason. His power came from the negabands, you know, with and then Carol, instead, you know, in this film, you know, we mentioned they gender swap Marvel. We'll get to that in a second. And Carol in this one, the power source of the engine of the craft that not Marvel made was powered by the same energies from the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially where she gets her abilities. It makes sense for her to be as powerful as she is.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we've seen what kind of power that does from the stones. Vision is like that.
Yep.
You know, obviously we've seen what Thanos has done with the Infinity Gauntlet, stuff like
Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yes, exactly. Like so these, you know, she's not that different. But what I did find political first and foremost is the gender swapping of Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Carol Danvers in this film is not allowed to have a positive male influence in her life. The men who are good guys are punchlines in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fury, the only thing he does that is badass is notice that there is a point where Phil Coulson is a Skrull and crashes his car into another car to kill alien Phil, and then losing a fight to a Skrull later. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Every other time he is making jokes or getting beat up.
He's palling around with Goose for like half of the movie.
Yes. If you ever wanted to see Nick Fury at his least badass, this is the film for you. He is a walking punchline in this.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, he's not an inexperienced fighter either. He's a full fucking bird colonel and then goes to be in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, he's not the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this, but yeah, he's still Colonel Fury, for God's sake.
Yeah.
He's still high up there.
Yes.
So he should know his shit.
Yeah.
But instead we get the watered-down version.
Yeah. Ben Mendelsohn, who plays a Skrull in this, largely joking around half the time. Admittedly has some funny lines. The few times I laughed... About
halfway through is when he starts really joking around.
Yeah, but I'll admit it. I laughed when he made those jokes. He was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sam Jackson could make you laugh in this. But it really feels like the only, tough ones in the film are women. That's it. And they also make a point to make it seem like men are just terrible to Carol all the time. Mm-hmm. And what makes it hypocritical, part of that happens during her Air Force training, which they only show briefly. And yet, the inspiration for the colors of her shirt, the colors of the U.S. Air Force. That makes no fucking sense. If the Air Force is so bad and so misogynistic, why would she use their colors? Why would she have any pride in her service?
And even then,
which, by the way, they also toned down her service too, which really was insulting. If I were a veteran in that audience, I would have been pissed.
Even then, that entire, you're not good enough because you're a girl, they're never going to let girls fly. Like, that whole sequence, and really, you got two of them. You got one early in the film, and then you got one towards the climax.
They were ham-fisted.
Good fucking God. Like, it's 2 straight minutes of, you're not good enough because you're a girl. You're terrible. Girls can't do shit.
It's literally just thrown in there.
3rd grade bullshit.
Yeah. And what I find hilarious about it is that if you remove those parts from the film, it gets a lot better. Just bam.
Yeah.
And or you could have used them differently to actually help establish some actual fucking characterization for this character. Like, I don't know, show that she's a very determined young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was comparing this to I was thinking, G.I. Jane. I like G.I. Jane as a film. G.I. Jane's a good movie. But the way G.I. Jane did it was that it's a boys' club. Because it's so physically demanding to do what they do, it's not expected that a woman will do it. But admittedly, there are women out there you will meet in your life that are tough as fucking nails.
Mm-hmm.
They're very rare, but you will. If you had presented Carol as one of those tough, determined women, don't make it about gender, just make it about the fact that she's so hard-headed she does not want to ever be told that she can't do something. That's character development. That tells me she's determined. That tells me that she's motivated. That tells me she has goals. That tells me that she is always striving towards something. Those are positive, heroic characteristics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they throw it out the window just to make throw shade at men. Why?
Yeah. It's political. Like, the feminist message is not just straightforward, but it is being shoved into your face, so you have no other choice but to say, okay, I saw it, I got it.
And by the way, I'm not saying this is propaganda. I am not. Here's the reason why. You can tell this was thrown in, and this was something that Kevin Feige glanced over.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that it was something later in the project. The reason that I say that is because, again, the rest of the film is beat by beat a Marvel film. And you notice they didn't do this sort of shit with the Wasp and Ant-Man and the Wasp. You'll notice that they don't do this with Scarlett Johansson in the Avengers films and in Captain America.
Nope. They didn't do this with Wanda either. God, no.
Hell no. Wanda has quite a few, ups and downs to her character. She's very well developed.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's kind of what pisses me off about this.
Yeah. For a secondary character in 2.5 Avengers movies. I'll count Civil War as half an Avengers movie. Yeah. But for a secondary character in those movies, she has more development than an entire movie dedicated to Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
They have no excuse.
And there's no excuse. What really gets it for me is that had they gone a different direction with those scenes, this movie instantly gets considerably better.
Absolutely.
Instantly. Carol becomes, instead of kind of likable, because she's not a bad, she's not a bitch in this film. She's not a terrible human being at all. No.
She's actually a smart ass. But...
Yeah, she's a smart ass, but that's all you get.
Yeah.
But had they given us more than that, I would have. They couldn't tell what to do with her in a lot of ways because of those politics. And that's generally the problem. Had it been that they established a couple of things, here's basically how I would have done it. I would have had the opening stuff with the Kree, then go to her childhood, and then making her dad an asshole is stupid. Mm-hmm. Which they did that in the comics recently. They made him an abusive husband, like a wife beater. Mm-hmm. And that was insulting because in the original comics he was actually a really good guy. But make her dad just overly concerned and protective. Makes it much more identifiable. That's what Chris Claremont would have done, but can't have that.
Nope.
Then you go to the stuff with Mar-Vell. You don't gender flip Mar-Vell. You keep Mar-Vell as Mar-Vell. And then his sacrifice leads to her getting her powers. It pays respect to the source material, but still gives you her ability to be heroic. So it just really, they missed so many opportunities because they felt the need to push Whammon.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige should have shot that shit down. And you can tell he didn't.
The only way I could describe it is cutting corners. They cut corners so they could get a movie out that is politically motivated, that they could talk. I mean, even International Women's Day. Today's International Women's Day.
Wait. Hold on. Monkey Lint in the chat makes a really good point. Brigadier General Jeannie Leavitt, first female Air Force fighter pilot in 1993, which is before this movie takes place.
Whoops.
So
that's not the only thing that gets retconned in this. Holy shit.
They retcon the idea that Captain America was the inspiration for the Avengers.
Yeah. Captain America is no longer... thinking about it, honestly, this almost felt like a retcon of Captain America, the First Avenger, just in general.
A soft retcon, but one nonetheless. They really take a bit of, his influence on the universe away from him and give it to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It really reminded me, and I wanted to do a video on this months ago, and I should have done it, on the idea that Captain Marvel is the Roman Reigns of Marvel Comics.
Oh my god, that perfect comparison.
Where they're trying to take some shine off of someone else and rub it on this character. It's the exact same thing that Vince McMahon did with Roman Reigns that made everyone hate Roman Reigns. And he did it with John Cena, too. It's the same thing here, just in a different medium. They're taking the shine from Captain America, trying to put it on Carol Danvers. That's not going to work.
No.
People aren't just going to buy into that.
Mm-mm. But, for God's sake, it basically invalidates all the build-up that we've had to the Avengers movie, or the MCU that began with Iron Man. It's just almost like a soft reboot. Why is it the Avenger Initiative? Because her call sign was Avenger.
Which doesn't make any sense either.
Nope.
Who in the Air Force would have the call sign of Avenger if you're not a combat pilot?
I don't fucking know.
And why would Project Pegasus have somebody whose call sign is Avenger? You're an experimental branch. Why would she be called Avenger? There's nothing that really meant it doesn't make sense.
No. How they get the Tesseract? Oh, well, somehow it was taken from S.H.I.E.L.D. in 1945 when they took it out of the ocean, and then it was brought back to them just magically because cats.
S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't exist when it happened in Captain America. That actually didn't bother me. Reason being is that I would assume that Howard was actually working for the U.S. government and then formed S.H.I.E.L.D. later, or helped form S.H.I.E.L.D. later.
But it was still established that they had it.
Yeah, so like they don't really explain how it went to Project Pegasus or why. Mm-mm. So that's another thing that's missing. And if you had fleshed out Mar-Vell a bit more, you wouldn't have that fucking problem, would you?
No, you would not. I mean, even just something small that really irritated me. Do you remember how Coulson in Iron Man 1 didn't actually say SHIELD until the very end?
Oh, wait, there we go. Monkey Link gives us a little bit more. And we need to move on, actually, here in a second. Pilots do not choose their call signs. Call signs are named for screw-ups. Guy sets brakes on fire landing equals burner. Well, that's true. My dad's nickname in boot camp, midget, because my dad's 5'6". So let's give our closing thoughts so we can move on to our picks for the week and then get to the Q&A. My overall thoughts, like I said, at best this is a rental if you're curious about it. Like even talking about it, I'm continuing to sour on it the more I think about it.
Yeah.
It was just so disappointing to me. And the reason I am disappointed is because I love the character of Carol Danvers. I love the Vell family quite a bit, and I feel like they have been completely invalidated. The only way to salvage this is to say in the next film, oh, this wasn't Mar-Vell, this was Mara-Vell, and she has a brother named Mar-Vell, and then establish the Vell family and stuff like that. You know, that would be the only way I could think of saving it, because honestly, I don't know where if they want this to be a franchise, they have nowhere to go from here. Ronan's dead. We don't know if Jan Rog will still be alive by the 2000s, so on and so forth. Like, I honestly think that this film will not do good in the box office in comparison to other films. It'll probably make its money back at the very least, but it's not going to be a huge hit. We already see people are coming out of the theater and not liking it. That says something. Hatman, what do you got? Final thoughts? Again,
it's a solid 6 out of 10. Like, go see it if you want to. Don't pay that much to go see it. Like maybe a matinee or like a Tuesday special or whatever. I'll say this: if you want to see a much better movie that features a female lead who actually has a degree of characterization behind her, go see Alita.
Yeah.
At this point, I support the Alita challenge purely because Captain Marvel has failed to deliver.
Yes, to say the
least. It
has
failed. This is Ghostbusters 2016 all over again. It's a lot of hullabaloo over nothing.
Yes. So, at least it's not Batman v Superman. All right, let's move on to our picks of the week, because Hatman, oddly enough, chose one of the greatest graphic novels of all time. Hatman, you have 6 minutes. Go.
Getting back into my Starling. Okay, so I wanted to read something from like the Mar-Vell, because obviously this is the Mar-Vell that I know and love. So instead of just, taking that out of the plastic and reading it, I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm going to read the definitive, ironically enough, Mar-Vell story, the death of Captain Marvel. And this is how you write a death story, especially one that transcends what someone would expect. And I think the best way to describe it is how Spider-Man talks about it in the book itself. Superheroes are supposed to die from like explosions and bullets and, acts of heroism. They're not supposed to die of cancer.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to go down essentially with a whimper.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on here. It is a story of Mar-Vell actually having to, accept his death. And it's kind of weird because for the most part, he has accepted it. But over the course of it, you can get hints of like, I don't want to go. And everyone else around him is trying to find some way to cure it. But
it's heartbreaking.
It is. The what was it? Negabands?
Mm-hmm.
that give him his power. I always fuck up the name of that. Are actually the things that are keeping him from being saved effectively.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his power is his curse, and that sense of irony is almost reminds me of a Greek tragedy in a way. But then the end of it, when death actually comes for him,
it's mention who guides him there.
It's Thanos. Because it wouldn't be a Jim Starlin story without Thanos.
It's poetic in a way.
It is.
Because Thanos was his nemesis.
Yes, and
before he was the Silver Surfer's nemesis, he was Mar-Vell's.
Yes, and in the lead up to this, you know, Thanos has been defeated and supposedly killed. He's become a stone statue at this point. So it's poetic because when Thanos appears and Captain Marvel Mar-Vell is suddenly like brought back to his full strength, you know, and they do battle, and Thanos is like, you know, this is how you deserve to die. You know, you deserve to go down with a fight. But then you sort of realize, like, this isn't real. This isn't actually happening. It's all in his head. And then Thanos is like, yeah, this is all in your head, but that's okay. You know, death comes for us all. You know, that is the one constant in existence. And that's not something that you should be afraid of or try to deny at all. Like, even me, I have to accept it.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. It really is powerful. And my God, I love Jim Starlin so much. I love that man. He is such a damn good writer.
He's incredible. He and Warren Ellis are two of my biggest inspirations.
Absolutely, yes. Two of the best.
This story, I'm going to talk about it for a couple minutes before we move on to my pick of the week, because somebody actually paid me for my pick of the week. But this is easily one of my favorite graphic novels of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a storyline that just looking at the image is bringing up the same emotions that I get every single time I read the story. Mm. Like I mentioned, I am a big fan of the Vell family, and I'm a big fan of the Captain Marvel stories, and of Carol too, because she's part of that. And the Chris Claremont run on Miss Marvel, you know, like, that whole saga is one that is a lot deeper and much more well-written of a space opera than you would expect from a Marvel comic book. And this particular story is just a beautiful examination of what or really just kind of told a story about the Marvel Universe in a sense. Like, because for those who don't know, like, back in the 70s, Captain Marvel was a pretty popular character. Mm-hmm. You know, killing him off was controversial at the time. And it really is an end of an era. It's kind of the end of the Bronze Age of comics, in a sense, is this graphic novel. Because it introduces a level of maturity into this. You see heroes like Hatman talked about Spider-Man in this. That's going to make you cry when you read it. Mm-hmm. Because Peter is close with everybody. Mm-hmm. He's friends with everybody. Mm-hmm. And he loved Mar-Vell. And here's this guy that he cared about and looked up to, has fought beside, is dying of cancer,
withering away, and he has to excuse himself. He's got to step out of the room.
Yeah. And you can even see Cap is having a hard time being Cap. Mm-hmm. Like, it's those... In a way, it is poetic, or it is strange to me that Jim Starlin never wrote the Avengers as a comic book, because he's probably one of the best Avengers writers never to touch the story. There's a reason Infinity War is based on his work. Well, Hickman's too, but mostly Starlin's. You know, he really captured this family and what it's like to lose a loved one to a disease like this.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you have never read The Death of Captain Marvel, It's not expensive. You can find it on Comixology if you want if you want a digital copy. You can get it on Amazon for cheap, or go to your local comic book store and have them order it for you. In fact, do that last one, because comic book stores could use the business. Seriously.
Yeah. And actually, you know, it's a good book too.
Yeah. And
so
you know what?
It's well worth your time and money.
If Jim Starlin is at a convention, he will sign. From what Hatman can say, he will sign this with a smile on his face.
Yep.
But bring him a copy of Thanos Quest like we did. He was apparently pretty jazzed about that, according to Hatman.
He really was. He said he didn't get a whole lot of Thanos Quest to sign, so he was very happy to see it.
That's my favorite Jim Starlin story is Thanos Quest, but this is number 2. This is easily number 2. So, but then again, with Starlin, best cosmic writer ever.
Oh, absolutely, bar none.
Like, it doesn't even come close. Captain Marvel, the Silver Surfer, Thanos, Infinity Gauntlet, or the Infinity Trilogy.
Yep.
Which is Gauntlet, War, Abyss.
Adam
Warlock. You know, like the Infinity Watch. Like, holy shit. He's incredible. Seriously. So, yeah, definite recommendation from both Hatman and I on this one.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
All right, my pick of the week. So, who donated for this one? Let me look that up real quick. But Demolition Man. I watched this last night after I got back. And where was it? I want to say it was Torino. Yeah, Torino de Guzman gave me $10 for this one. And this is one of the most fun. Like, this was a great palate cleanser after Captain Marvel, because this was fun. And this is what that movie should have been, is this kind of fun. Demolition Man, for those who have never seen it, is about Sylvester Stallone playing a police officer, because of course it's a Stallone film, and he's either playing a cop, a mercenary, or a boxer, but or a soldier. But anyway, he goes after this kingpin named Simon Phoenix, catches him, and they cryo-freeze him. But they also cryo-freeze Sylvester Stallone because of the amount of damage he was doing to everything trying to catch criminals, thus the name Demolition Man. Fast forward into the future, it has become a dystopia/utopia, where there is no violence, and everybody loves each other, and it's really, really gay. Like, not that kind of, like, that kind of gay, but just gay as in stupid. And Simon Phoenix is unfrozen to basically wreak havoc. And it is basically the idea of a cowboy cop and a super violent crime boss being inserted into a world where violence has become passé. And Taco Bell is the only restaurant that exists. Which, by the way, I love me a beefy 5-layer burrito, I ain't even gonna lie. And obvious by the size of my midsection. But even so, holy fuck. It is like... It is kind of like what SJWs would like the world to be. In a lot of ways. When I look at the way that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez might like the world, I kind of imagine Demolition Man. You know, where the cops come up and go, "Lie down on the floor, or else." I'm so scared. Needless to say, though, probably, aside from Blade, probably the most entertaining role that Wesley Snipes has ever had outside of, what was that one where he was a crime boss? New Jack City. Hilarious. And then, of course, still, like, the fact that they penalize you for cursing. So anytime somebody says fuck, there's a very loud bang. You have been fined 1 credit for... It is hilarious. So, if you have not seen Demolition Man, and if you want a really good comedy action film, this is probably my favorite, all things considered. Like, it's like... Hatman, talk about it. I have no words.
What, Demolition Man?
Yes.
God, I haven't seen it in forever.
Like, you gotta watch it again. Like, it's...
Clearly, yes.
I'm trying to think what the we're police officers. We're not trained for this kind of violence. One of the few times I've ever laughed at Rob Schneider. Which, by the way, yeah, big, you know, like Rob Schneider is in this too. Kind of, he was in two different Stallone movies, this and Judge Dredd, and he's kind of the annoying person in both because it's Rob Schneider. But in this one, he's actually kind of funny. The only thing that I wasn't like super hyped up on was like the Dennis Leary kind of like lecturing us on things. I'm like, all right, enough. Come on. But then again, you have helmet sex. Yeah. Something that the Japanese would probably be huge fans of. But anyway, needless to say, if you have never seen Demolition Man, shame on you. Seriously. There's something very wrong with you.
Do a back-to-back of Demolition Man and Judge Dredd. Because that's funny.
Judge Dredd's kind of like funny because it's bad. But this is funny because it's meant to be funny.
That's the thing. Judge Dredd is just like really over the top too.
Yeah, it
does remind me of Demolition Man in that regard.
Yeah, there is that, but it's still kind of bad. But I say that as a fan of 2000 AD, you know. But there, I will admit, there is a great scene in Judge Dredd where he pulls up in a cycle, he stands in the middle of the road, in the hero pose, going, "I am the law. Drop your weapons. These blocks are now under arrest. That's just Dredd, man. You're gonna be afraid of someone. Be afraid of me." You betrayed the law! Law! Armand Asante just chewing the fucking scenery. It's so funny.
Oh my god. I knew you would say that.
It's like, the funny thing about Armand Asante is he feels like he's going for an Oscar when he shouldn't be.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh my god.
All right, let's move on to the Q&A because holy shit. Q&A. Holy shit.
I guess we actually have to do like the...
Yes, because for those who don't realize it, this is actually an official episode of the podcast.
It is, yeah. It's a special, of course, but it's also the actual thing, which makes it not exactly a special, but it is still a special, so just deal with it.
we didn't want... I'll tell the truth. I didn't want to wait until Saturday to talk about this film. I want to get it off my chest immediately. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Hatman, check the emails to see, and the Twitter to see whether or not we have any questions. I'm going to check the Discord, see what the patrons have for us. And Jesus, I haven't checked the Discord in a while. Also, one thing to mention, I don't see anything in the Discord. One thing I want to mention is after this, game night, Devil May Cry 5.
Ooh.
Came out today. I'm super excited. But I have no money for soda. So that's depressing. So I will drink... Oh, but I still have hard cider left, so I got that going for me. And then... And guys, entertainment questions, please. No politics today. No politics yet. We'll be doing politics tomorrow. For those who don't know.
We'll do that tomorrow at the usual time.
Yes. So yes, politics is tomorrow. All right, Hatman. What do we got?
All right, I've got emails.
Okay, what do we got?
From questionable weeb friend Chris. Will someone please take the behelit away from Micah? Is he mad? Does he not realize that by killing off all the waifus, he kills a certain someone that would involve that poster behind him coming to life? Guts won't much like a dead Casca.
That's a fair point. I would exterminate all waifu, just waifu anime, not all waifus. That way Casca can live. And you guys are all still fucked. Besides, Casca's a babe with short hair. Do you really think I'd kill her off? Let's be honest. Also,
Garza,
to depress people, I might have to trim my beard tomorrow.
Oh, Lord. Garza, I know you're here, but you did send an email, so I'm going to go ahead and read that one too, because things. But anyway, in my workshop class, our awesome teacher is giving us the chance to make a life-size sword of our choosing, either historical or fictional. I'm personally leaning towards a Renaissance sword, the 6-foot Zweihander, and I wanted to know what swords in both history and fiction the two of you would like to have if the option presented itself. As an additional challenge, no Dragon Slayer from Berserk.
Garza, you're lucky I don't have a Shame Garza button. What the fuck? Really? Fine. Fine. Because I'm of Scottish descent, William Wallace's Claymore.
Fair enough. Fair enough. God, any sword from... Jeez, that's kind of hard. Because see, my first thought would be a lightsaber, but that's
not
only
quite
technically a sword. Yeah, only technically. That's hard. Okay, I won't do one from fiction then. I will do like a real life sword that I could get, and something that I intend to have someday, a rapier. Because I did fencing for a bit when I was in college, and rapier was like my fucking style. I was much better with that than saber or foil. So if I could get one of those, and I intend to get one of those someday, I would be a happy man. Fuck it.
Katana and Wakizashi? I can tell you, as somebody who knows some kendo, katanas actually kind of suck as weapons. If they hit other steel that is of higher quality, they break.
They shatter.
They are not, like, the glorious Nippon steel is bullshit. There is no glorious steel in Japan. It was of very poor quality. That's why they had to fold it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why For Honor is hilarious. They don't have weaponry that could pierce that kind of armor that the knights have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all things considered, the only ones who would be the Vikings, because they stole it from them, and the Wulin. So, all right, let's get to the chat.
Yep.
Because was there anything on Twitter?
Not for entertainment.
Okay. So, Matchstick asks, thoughts on Ed Boon, the trailer that Ed Boon used to give the leaker the middle finger by revealing all the leaked characters in said trailer. I thought it was a good move. But it wouldn't surprise me if that was the plan from the get-go, because it felt like that trailer had been edited a while before.
That wasn't all the leaked characters, though, was it? It was only 2.
The story trailer? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's a story trailer that shows... basically like half the cast.
Okay, so that's not the one that I saw then. I saw Cassie
and Kano.
Kano, yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. But
also, that fucking fatality of kicking Kano in the balls.
Oh, yes. Dude,
that
one was hilarious, but her other one is too. She shadow kicks you in the chest and then puts her hands, because your heart pops out, and she puts her hands in a heart inside of your chest cavity. It's hilarious.
I love Cassie Cage now. Holy shit.
I loved her from the get-go, even though she's voiced by Ashley Birch in the original.
Oh my god.
Because, like, her selfie fatality was hilarious, too. She takes a fucking baton, knocks your jaw to the way it's just hanging off, and you're clearly dead. And she takes a selfie with you. And then there's a Twitter mock-up where different characters will tweet at you. It's hilarious.
Oh my god, how do they come up with this shit?
Mortal Kombat's fucking awesome. All right, we just got a donation. I forgot to mention, if you do donate, we will give your question priority. So, let's see what it says here. Chaos Sonic says, sorry I missed most of the review, but your thoughts on the rumors that Marvel might recast, get rid of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel altogether. I don't think they're going to get rid of the character. There's the possibility they might consider recasting her, just because that is one of the bits of feedback that they're getting. It also makes me wonder if the decision to push this character as much as it has been was a decision that the higher-ups at Marvel, or at Disney rather, made over Kevin Feige. Because if there's already rumblings behind the scenes that they're thinking about replacing her because everyone's saying that she's miscast, that makes me think that this is a Hollywood decision, sort of like Zendaya being in the Spider-Man films is a Hollywood decision. It's not really like a Kevin Feige decision.
Yeah, I'll say this. I kind of wonder if there's a reason why Monica Rambeau was
a kid
in 1996, because now at this point she'd be an adult.
Yeah.
Because maybe she could be Captain Marvel again.
It's possible. I like Monica.
Yeah, so or at least Photon.
Dude, if you've never read Next Wave, you'll love Monica Rambeau if you read Next Wave. She's great. Yeah. So...
yeah. Real talk, though, Monica Rambeau was actually a highlight of Captain Marvel for me.
Yeah.
I loved her.
Little Monica was great. Her mom was pretty okay, too.
She was all right, but I didn't believe the friendship with Carol for an instant.
Well, there wasn't enough time to develop it. That was the problem.
No, yeah. It just... But no, Little Monica was awesome.
Yeah. And Cooper's Revenge Home makes a good point. They did recast Hulk. The difference is that Edward Norton was recast because he's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Whereas they wanted to cast somebody smaller because he's easier to control.
Yeah. Good actor, but pain in the ass.
And they're thinking about recasting him, the Hulk, again, because what's his face who plays him is now becoming an asshole. Should have kept Edward Norton, in my opinion.
Ruffalo.
Yeah, Ruffalo. That's it. I thought Norton's better personally. Yeah. Ruffalo's good. Don't get me wrong. He is a really good Hulk, but Norton had more of the sort of neuroses of a Bruce Banner that Ruffalo has not played nearly as well. Ruffalo is a more sheepish Banner.
Yeah.
So on the Jeremy Johns scale, is this better if you're drunk, forget in T-1 day, or just plain dog shit? Better if you're drunk.
Yeah, that was the rating that he gave it. I would give it you'll forget it in T-1 day, because I would relate this more to like Ant-Man and the Wasp more than any other MCU movie. It's something, it's like a one and done, but ultimately
you'll have more fun with Ant-Man and the Wasp, though, in my opinion.
You will, but you won't remember it, because I don't fucking remember Ant-Man and the Wasp very well.
I do, but I thought that's just because I thought it was better than the first Ant-Man.
Weird, because I really like the first Ant-Man.
Well, the first one's good too, but they're definitely they were definitely made for younger audiences, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They have a very Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibe for a good reason.
Oh yes, absolutely.
All right, Autist Whisper's been asking this one a little bit. Thoughts on the game Rape Day? It was removed from Steam, but in the UK there are talks of regulations on games, mostly to protect women.
So it's Rape Play all over again.
Yeah, but like that's what I thought he said at first.
Yeah.
Here's my question: did Jim Sterling defend this one?
I think he actually had a video saying like, no, Steam had a responsibility to eliminate shit like that.
Fucking fat hypocrite. Piece of shit. He defended Rapeplay, folks. Jim Sterling defended Rapeplay back in the early 2010s. I remember, because Blistered Thumbs, like, everybody but me, I backed him. I said he had a good reason to defend it. It's free speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alright. Matchstick wants to know, thoughts on Doom Patrol being really good. The most recent trailer on it sold me. I want to watch it. It looks hilarious.
I wouldn't know. I haven't been keeping up with it at all.
But anyway, Well, here's the funny thing of also people getting shocked about Jim Sterling defending things. Back in the early 2000s, like 2010, late 2000s and early 2010s, he was a free speech advocate.
Mm-hmm.
He was a completely different person before he got married. Then he marries an SJW and everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not coincidental.
No.
Never marry somebody who does not share your values. Ever.
You want another example? Look at Erin Hanson, otherwise known as Ego Raptor, before he got married. Look at his animation, and then look at what happened after he got hitched and really got into Game Grumps and shit.
Yeah.
Totally different. I like this one. Crystal Wing 2149 asks our thoughts on the Dead Space series, which was our favorite between 1, 2, and 3, and our thoughts on the section in Dead Space 2 when Isaac returns to the Ishimura.
Definitely 2 for me.
2 is definitely my favorite too. Yeah. 2 is to aliens what 1 is to Alien.
Yes, basically. Yeah, 2 definitely is my favorite, though just barely. Yeah, basically. Yeah. And what do we think about the part of Returning to Ishimura? It was cool.
It was great. I loved that part. That was really cool.
The one thing everyone will always remember is the eye scene. Fuck.
Fuck indeed.
Holy shit.
Never forget going into the final battle with only 1 mag for my freaking plasma cutter.
I just still remember the eyeball thing, and just like my ass was watertight.
Yeah, that
like,
was
holy shit. Yeah. I was just like clenched, like complete, like every muscle in my body was just.
Yeah, and that zoom in that it did too.
And then I fucked it up at the last second. I'm like, ah!
Oh man.
Chris Jones asks a good one that I wish we had had time to cover as a normal topic. Thoughts on Rotten Tomatoes throwing away their credibility by deleting over 58K user reviews for Captain Marvel? Yeah, they're fucked at this point. Like, yeah. You are not going to stop this movie from not doing well. You're not going to stop it. You can't stop it with that, and you're making it worse.
It's like Ghostbusters 2016 all over again. Like I've said probably 3 times now. It's a whole lot of bullshit over nothing.
Nate Stevenson just gave us $5. He says, if it'll load, thoughts on Garth Ennis's The Boys comic. Fun as hell. Great funny deconstruction of the superhero genre. But it's Garth Ennis's trademark cynicism. So, yeah, definitely, I recommend it. And one more. And also, don't forget, guys, to put, after this question, to put questions into the chat for the overflow. Let's see here. What are, I don't know if... Here's a good one from Hardboiled. So are the feminazis who are crying bloody misogyny about guys not liking Captain Marvel just unaware we loved Wonder Woman and Alita, or hoping everyone else has been forgotten or forgot it? Well, that's basically it. Is that, you know, when it comes to narratives, you can tell someone's pushing a narrative when they completely ignore facts that are presented to them and they don't change their mind on the statement.
Yeah. And
that's one of them. People are saying, like, nobody cared that Wonder Woman, like, everybody liked Wonder Woman. It was unanimously loved. You know, everybody, like, loves Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, she is the perfect casting for the character. Alita, universally loved. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm tough on it just because I'm such a fan of the source material, but even then, it's pretty faithful. You know, like, I don't fucking... They've constantly been doing this with this film. Like, they said that, like, there were no women that were critics that disliked the movie. That was bullshit. It was a blatant lie.
Some of the worst reviews came from women.
So, that was...
it's a funny situation because Wonder Woman, we went into that thinking that it might be bad and then coming out pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Marvel, we went in expecting it to be good because, you know, MCU, and then when the trailers dropped, we're like, kind of getting nervous about this, and then that's when well, if you're critical, then you're just a misogynist thing started, and then we're like, if you're going down that route, then it might be kind of crappy then, and then it turned out to be mediocre.
Pretty much. Not to mention, nobody likes being in the audience and being insulted when you didn't really do anything wrong.
No.
Like, it'd be one thing if there were legitimately people saying that she should get back in the fucking kitchen. Mm-hmm. But there were none.
No.
Except for maybe a few trolls who knew you would react if you gave them the fucking...
Yeah.
Jezebel. Mary Sue. Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
We'll be back tomorrow. Politics Podcast, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Stick around. Here in about an hour, we are going to do Game Night Devil May Cry 5. I just got to switch things over to a different computer. So stick around. We will I will return. Hatman's probably got to do stuff.
I got to do a thing.
So he's got to do a thing. So we will see you then. My name is Micah Curtis.
I'm Alex Baldwin, also known as the Hatman.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later. Deus Vult.
Deus Vult.